Hey, this is Florida, and I want to talk to you about Tropical Storm Idalia. Right now, it formed today off the coast of Mexico, so we don't think it's much of a problem, but it's on a potential track to come ashore as a hurricane in Florida. At 5 p.m. on Sunday, the storm was about 95 miles east-southeast of Cozumel in Mexico, moving northeast at only 3 miles per hour, with highest sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's going to get bad. Hurricane winds they start at 74 miles per hour and above. Forecasters say they expect Idalia to become a hurricane on Tuesday in the Gulf of Mexico and then curve and come northeast towards the west coast of Florida. That's me. It's going to tickle my side on the west side. Idalia could approach me on Wednesday with winds up to 100 miles per hour, according to the latest forecasts. That would make it a Category 2 hurricane that could do some damage, along with a vast stretch of my west coast. Up to 11 feet of ocean water could surge onto the shore, raising fears of flooding and destructive flooding at that. At a Sunday afternoon briefing, my buddy, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, noted that much uncertainty remains in the forecast. This thing hasn't even gotten to Cuba yet, and the water in the Gulf is very, very warm. So that will provide some fuel for this thing to pick up some more speed, DeSantis says. Large parts of our western coast are at risk of seawater surging onto land and flooding communities when a tropical storm or hurricane approaches. That part of me, of Florida, is very vulnerable to storm surges. It will not take a strong system or a direct hit to produce significant storm surge. So if you're anywhere along the Florida Peninsula, western Florida Peninsula, let's say from about Fort Myers northward to the Panhandle, you really got to be paying attention. And Cedar Key, which is a great fishing village that juts out onto the Gulf of Mexico, a storm surge is among the greatest concerns. The concern is that if the storm strikes Florida just to the north, Cedar Key would get the powerful surge that comes from being on the southeastern side of the storm. There are worries in Cedar Key about a storm surge of 2 to 5 feet of ocean water. And if the storm surge reaches 5 feet, it would cover most everything downtown, pretty much flood them out. At the popular Bridge Tender Inn in Bradenton Beach, a large tent covered the tiki bar area where musicians play might have to be taken down in preparation for Idalia. If we get a big storm that hits, it would probably rip the tent in half. But at this point, plans are for the establishment to stay open. Crazy people. Mexico's National Meteorological Service on Sunday warned of intense to torrential rains showering the Yucatan Peninsula with winds as fast as 55 miles per hour. It said the storm could cause anything from powerful waves to flooding in southern Florida, or southern Mexico, mainly around coastal cities in the Yucatan and Quintana Roo states. It's asking their citizens to stay alert and stay inside. Florida emergency officials on Sunday urged residents to keep their vehicle gas tanks at least half full in case they need to evacuate. You ain't got time to put gas in your car. This will ensure you can evacuate tens of miles inland in a safe location should the need arise. Florida has mobilized 1,100 National Guard members and they have at their disposal 2,400 high water vehicles, as well as 12 aircrafts that can be used for rescue and recovery efforts. We're ready. If you're in the path of this storm, you should expect power outages, DeSantis said. So please prepare for that, particularly if this storm ends up coming into the Tallahassee region. There's a lot of trees that are going to get knocked down. The power lines get knocked down. That's just going to happen. So let's be prepared. Be able to do what you need to do. 33 of my counties are under a state of emergency. The State Emergency Management Agency said. So far this year, the U.S. East Coast has been spared from cyclones. But in the West, Tropical Storm Hillary caused widespread flooding, mudslides, and road closures earlier this month in Mexico, California, Nevada, and other points to the north. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, recently said that 2023 hurricane season would be far busier than they initially forecasted because of the extremely warm ocean temperatures. The season runs through November 30th, with August and September typically being the peak. So everybody, especially you that live here in Florida, be very careful for the next few days. Keep your eye on the weather and keep your emergency stuff packed and ready to go. Hang tight and be prepared. Thanks. Bye.